Hi there folks, my name's Tom and I used to be a stockader just like you guys. Now I'm a big fan of the outdoors and especially the critters that God created to inhabit them. While I love most critters, I have a particular fascination in the slimy and the scaly ones, that being reptiles and amphibians. Now I've had this passion since I was your age, or maybe even younger, but it's only grown stronger and stronger over the years. As a matter of fact, I'm searching for critters right now in the Blue Ridge Mountains, which is home to one of the most biodiverse communities of salamanders in the entire world. To kick off the year and help get you inspired to explore and invest in your own passions, I'd like to share a quick story with you about exploring nature and discovering how unique and incredible the animals are that God designed. My prayer for you this year in Stockade is that you will grow strong bonds with your brothers in Christ. Listen to and learn from your mentors and leaders who have taken their time to invest in you, and most importantly, that you have a spark ignited inside of you that sets you on fire for Christ and the passions that He has gifted you. Now come for a walk with me as I share about a rather memorable experience exploring the woods and searching for a rather cryptic yet charismatic species of salamander. Come along. Now let me set the scene a little. I told you I love animals, and as a matter of fact, I love them so much that I went to college to study wildlife and fishery sciences so that I could learn more about their biology, their ecology, and how we can best manage them here on this planet so that they're here for many generations to come. And actually, that's what we're called to do in the very first book and the very first chapter of the Bible. After God creates man, He tells them this: "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea and the birds of the heavens, and over everything that moves on the earth." So that's what I went to school to do, to learn how we could best care for and rule over these animals that God put on the planet, that He charged us with. So I went to college at Penn State University, which, if you're not familiar, is in central Pennsylvania, in a big, beautiful valley surrounded by nice, lush mountains. Perfect home for reptiles and amphibians. Now, during my time at school, I was required to take a class called herpetology. Now, herpetology sounds like a big word, but it's simply the study of reptiles and amphibians. My favorite. So part of this class, one of the assignments was to film a video about a unique species or a unique characteristic of reptile or amphibian, and we got to choose what that would be. Now, fortunately for some, maybe not for others, it was a group project. I don't know if you guys have ever done group projects before, but they can go either way. Sometimes you end up doing all the work. Other times you can't agree with your group members about what you want to do it on or how you should best present the material that you found. But I got lucky. I had a good friend in the class and my roommate at the time. His name was Cody, and he was my partner for the group project. So I was fortunate to be paired with Cody, and we decided to do our project on a specific species of salamander that neither of us have really ever seen and didn't know a whole lot about. This species of salamander is called the spotted salamander. Spotted salamanders are mole salamanders, which means they live underground most of their lives and only come out about one time a year, and that's to lay their eggs. They come out of the ground, make their way to these vernal pools. A vernal pool is essentially a pool of water, a pond, if you will, that holds water for part of the year. Usually it doesn't have water in it all times of the year, which is important because that means there's no fish in it. Fortunately for us, it was spring, which is the time of year they come out. Usually the first warm rain of the year is when they like to venture out of the ground and come to these pools to lay their eggs. So we had to hike out, I don't know, probably 3 miles into the woods in the middle of the night in a rainstorm to these ponds. On our way out there, we found some other salamanders, not what we were looking for, some frogs, some critters out and about. So we were hopeful until we got to the ponds and we shined our flashlights into the water and we saw eyes. They were fish eyes, particularly pickerel eyes, which, if you are familiar with what pickerel are, they're a long predatory fish that has big sharp teeth, perfect for eating salamanders. So we looked around for a while, spent a couple hours out there, did not see a single spotted salamander. We think that that was probably not a very good area for them, considering the pickerel were around. So we decided we needed to seek some wisdom. I don't know if you guys have ever read the book of Proverbs in the Bible, but if so, you'll know it's all about wisdom. And there's more than a couple of verses in there telling us about how we must seek wisdom. Let me read a couple for you right now. Proverbs 15:22 says, "Without advice, plans go wrong, but with many advisors, they succeed." Proverbs 20:18 says, "Plans succeed through good counsel. Don't go to war without wise advice." Now, while we might not have been going to war, we were on a quest. So we decided to seek counsel the best way we could, which was to talk to a graduate student who actually was doing research on these spotted salamanders. We spoke with her a little bit, got a little more information, and she was willing to give us the location of where she does her research. So this is a known location of where spotted salamanders are, or have been in the past at least. They haven't been seen yet this year. So we took her information, very grateful for what she provided for us, and we waited for the next warm rainy night, and headed back out into the woods to search for these salamanders. Now this particular night, my buddy Cody, he wasn't feeling too good. He had a little cold going on and didn't really feel like going out there, but you know what? He's a trooper, and we did not want to miss these salamanders. So he sucked it up, he got up the energy, and we headed out in the woods searching for these critters. And we hiked, and we trudged, and we walked, and we looked, and we hiked more, and we were out there for hours and hours and hours, and we're not finding anything. We'd explored most of the pools that graduate student had told us about, and we still had not found anything. So there was one more pool left on the map that we wanted to get to, and before we called it a night, Cody and I started heading to that pool. As we're walking there, the ground was wet and swampy because it had been raining, and Cody's leading the way, and all of a sudden Cody takes a step and he falls through into the muck up to his waist. He walked into this big pit filled with dead leaves, decaying matter. It smelled bad, it was wet and soggy and cold. It had just looked like a pile of wet leaves on the ground, but essentially he fell into this pitfall that just took him right up to his waist, where he was practically helpless. So when I was done laughing at Cody, in a friendly way of course, because that's what friends do, I helped Cody out of the mud, but it was very fortunate that I was there for him, which is just goes to show how important it is that we have each other's backs as brothers in Christ, no matter what the situation. One of my favorite verses, again in the book of Proverbs, says, "Iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens another." Proverbs 27:17. And that's just such a good verse to remember when thinking about how important peer-to-peer mentorship is, and having these relationships, building these strong trusts and bonds with our Christian friends and our friends that we know have similar values as ourselves. And it also really helps that you have similar interests with them as well, because then you guys can go on these adventures together and have each other's backs when things might not go as planned. If I hadn't been there that night, I think Cody would have made his way out, but it would have been a lot more miserable. So we ended up making our way back to the truck. We got him all dried off and warmed up in the warm truck, and drove ourselves back to our apartment for the night, with our heads hanging low again, defeated by the ever elusive spotted salamander. But fortunately, the story does not end there. For we were on this quest, and we were not going to quit until we found these spotted salamanders. Now we could have changed our topic for our video. We could have done a different species. Like I said, we had seen plenty of other species at this time, but we wanted to find that majestic spotted salamanders. In our mind, it was the golden ticket. So we did more research. We spent some time on Google Maps, which we were familiar with using Google Maps from our fishing experiences. We always find new spots to fish searching around on Google Maps. So we found these new pools. We couldn't tell for sure if they were vernal pools or if they were ponds, so we didn't know if they'd have fish in them or not. It was a gamble, but the next warm and rainy night, a few days later, we headed back out to these pools. Now, luckily for us, these pools weren't even too far of a hike in this time, as we'd gone on these crazy wild goose chases before. This time we parked the truck along the side of the road and started walking the small trail towards the pool. It was a very rainy night. It was warm, probably in the mid to high 50s, which is a good night for these salamanders to come out. And we started walking the trail, and as we're walking, I'm leading the way, and all of a sudden Cody sticks his arm out and stops me as I'm about to put my foot down, and he says, "Look down." So I look down. Right under my foot where I'm about to step is this big black salamander with these beautiful golden yellow spots all up and down its body. It was the first spotted salamander that Cody and I had ever seen in our adult lives, and we were both thrilled to find this salamander. And that was just the start of the night. It got better and better from there. As we made our way towards the pool, we found more salamanders going towards the pool. And as we got to the pool, we had our fishing waders on so we could wade in and get some video footage of these critters. And sure enough, they were there in the hundreds, if not the thousands. Now, Cody and I spent probably 4 or 5 hours out there that night, filming these salamanders and just watching them, experiencing them, and being amazed by how cool and unique they were. How these species that you could hardly never see, you might not even know existed because they live underground, could be in such high numbers in one area just because we happened to get out there on that perfect night of the year. It could not have been any better. We've never seen that many spotted salamanders since then, and we've never had a night quite like that. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this story, that out of breath story as I hike up a mountain that's a little steeper than I intended, but I figured what better place to share that story than one of the places that homes the most salamanders in the entire world, in the Blue Ridge Mountains here. So I hope that maybe it inspired you to seek out your own passions, and if you are into reptiles and amphibians or critters of any kind, go out there and explore, see what you can find, bring your friends along, and maybe if they don't know about the Lord, maybe you can share about Jesus with them, and build a strong bond like my brother Cody and I have, so that you can go on these adventures together and make memories. With all that said, hope you have a fantastic year at Stockade. I'll be praying for you guys, and always remember that the Lord will never provide you, or will never face you with a challenge that He has not already equipped you to deal with. Bye, guys.